Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming out today. My name is Zach Parrish. I'm the programming librarian here at the Bexley Public Library. Before we get started, I want to highlight a couple programs coming up this week, just very briefly. Tomorrow at the library, we have a poetry marathon with Mimi Chenfeld, Fred Anderle, and about 14 other poets. So that will begin at 1:15 in the Quiet Reading Room. We also have the National Voter Registration Day Candidates Night on Tuesday beginning at 6. So that will feature members running for City Council and the school board. And again, that will begin here at 6 o'clock. And lastly, we have Was This a Station? Investigating the architecture of the Underground Railroad on Thursday at 6:30 with Dr. Karen Lewis from Ohio State University. So we hope to see you back here soon at some of our upcoming programs. Before we get started, this is a hybrid program, so it's wonderful to see this crowd here at the library. We also have people joining online, so at the end of our presentation today, if you have any questions, please just raise your hand and I'll come around with the microphone. That way those at home can hear what questions are getting asked. And for those joining online, feel free to type any comments or questions into the chat at any time, and we'll try to get those asked at the end. Before I introduce our featured speaker, I do want to just give a big thanks. Dean Regas has graciously donated 2 circulating telescopes to the Bexley Public Library. So you can find those over there. Yes, thank you, Dean. After our talk today, Dean has books for sale that he will also be signing. And then if you want to check out a telescope, the 2 are available for checkout, or you can at least see how they operate. And let's get into it. So our featured speaker is Dean Regas, who is a renowned public speaker, author, educator, national popularizer of astronomy, and an expert in observational astronomy. He served as the astronomer for the Cincinnati Observatory from 2000 to 2023 and was astronomer in residence at the Grand Canyon in 2021. He is the author of 6 books, including 100 Things to See in the Night Sky, our feature of the presentation today, as well as How to Teach Grown-Ups About Pluto. Love that title. From 2010 to 2019, Dean was the co-host of the PBS program Stargazers. Dean has contributed to Astronomy Magazine, Sky and Telescope Magazine, Farmer's Almanac, USA Today, and many other publications. He is also the host of a popular astronomy podcast called Looking Up with Dean Regas, with the goal of bringing the complicated field of astronomy down to earth for people of all ages. Please join me in welcoming Dean Regas.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Zach. And big thank you to the Bexley Public Library for having me here today. It's been a while since I've been here. I gave a talk here, I don't know how long ago, way back when. But I grew up in Columbus and even went to school very close here. I went to St. Charles right down the street. So it's great to be back in Columbus. I've been living in Cincinnati doing astronomy ever since then. And Zach, I can't believe you mentioned the telescopes and they can check them out. There's going to be like a rush up here at the end. Like there's like anyway, we'll have these 2 telescopes there. Really, I started a program in Cincinnati at the Cincinnati libraries with these type of telescopes where you can just borrow them just like a book. And so when I approached Zach and Bexley, they were like, yeah, we'll take them. And so I hope you enjoy them. It's a great way to get started in the field. And that's going to be kind of my goal here today. We're going to be showing you how to find your way around the night sky. So let me ask a question out to you guys, the audience. So you saw this on the program and you're like, okay, I want to learn 100 things to see in the night sky. Do you really want to learn 100 things? You think we do all 100 in 45 minutes? What do you think? Ambitious? Or should we do all 100 over the course of, let's say, 4 hours and we lock the doors? That too? All right, I was thinking maybe we could be a little less ambitious, unless you really want to go through 100, it'd be really fast. But the thing is, I broke this down by seasons, so you could find the stars and constellations of the summer and the winter and that kind of thing in various seasons. So I was thinking, if we want to try, what do you think about 20 objects? I saw some nervous, okay. 5 stars and 5 constellations. No problem? 7 stars, 7 constellations? 10 stars, 10 constellations? We'll see how far we make it. We'll see how far we make it. Now, the thing is with this subject is that it is kind of intimidating, right? When you do stargazing, you look out there, you're like, I don't know what any of those, they all look the same to me. And that's how it was for me when I got started, because I went to college at Xavier University, and I graduated with a history degree. And the plan was I was going to teach high school history. Any teachers or former teachers in the audience? God bless you all. Because I went into the classroom and I realized very quickly, I don't want to be a classroom teacher. And so I had to find a second job, another job basically. And it ended up that I started doing nature education. I was working for the Cincinnati parks doing nature ed. And I learned all about fossils and birds and trees. And then one week it was learn how to work the little planetarium in one of the nature centers. And they said, Dean, there's a planetarium. You're in charge. First show next week. I was like, wait, I know history. I know birds now. And so I had to learn very, very quickly. And I knew nothing. I didn't even know where the North Star was. And so I had to learn very, very quickly. But what happened was when they put the stars up on the ceiling, they turned the lights out, this magic moment happened inside of my brain. It was like a religious moment, and the stars started talking to me. And this was the job. This was what I wanted to do. I knew it right away that this was what I was supposed to do with my life, is to be a star crazy nut. And so that's what I have dove in to do and learned all that I could about astronomy. And so when I wrote the book, 100 Things to See in the Night Sky, the idea was kind of hearkening back to those days where I didn't know anything. And how do I go from that to learning the top 100 things? So if this is the other thing I need to know from the audience is, how many of you are PhD astrophysicists? Okay. All right. How many of you know where the sky is? Okay, good. Good. We got the right audience. Perfect. That's what we want. We want to start from the beginning, and then we'll branch out. We'll go a little bit harder, and then we'll go a little more challenging, and then I'll push you guys to your limits, and then you'll go out there, and you're going to be like stargazing like crazy. What do you think? You feel good about that? Okay. So this is a picture from when I was at the Grand Canyon. I was their astronomer in residence out there. This was something I did for a season where I got to live and work at the edge of the Grand Canyon. And man, those nights are really nice out there. So dark, so many stars. So it was a dream thing to be able to do that. And I still get to go back quite often and do astronomy programs with them. But some of you, if you were late night PBS watchers, maybe saw me on the Stargazers TV show. It was on PBS, usually right at about a convenient 1 a.m. Right when the day was over, basically. They showed us, and then they showed the blank screen. That was it. But we were, me and my buddy James Albury, we were the Stargazers for 9 years. And so that was something I know was broadcast on WSU. That's probably, yep, the W, yep. And then I'm also the host of a podcast now called Looking Up. So wherever you get your podcasts, check that out. I interview guests from all around the astronomy world. And some of my books were 1,000 Facts About Space, How to Teach Grown-Ups About Pluto. And, well, I also need to know my audience a little bit more. How many of you are still mad about what we did to Pluto? Yeah, okay. All right, so I know who holds grudges. Because it's been 19 years since Pluto was kicked out of the Planet Club. And so I wrote the book for kids to help their traumatized adults. Yeah. So you read the book, or wait, better yet, buy the book, then have a kid read the book to you. You will feel so much better. That's my goal. So try that out. It's a lot of fun. And then I have a brand new book called All About Orion, which was done in conjunction with a print house in Cincinnati that does called Clovernook Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And it's a combination Braille, tactile astronomy book. So you can actually feel the outlines of the constellations. And then, of course, there's 100 Things to See also. So I'll have these books up there at the table. You're welcome to browse and check them out there. And if you want to get any, that'd be great. I can sign them and everything like that. So check those out at the break. So now, I think, why do you want to learn 100 Things to See in the Night Sky? I have an answer. Because you want to impress other people, right? You want to be that person that's out there under the sky and a dark night and the stars are out there, you're walking your cars and somebody said, oh, I wonder what that is. And you have the answer, right? Isn't that what you want? You also want to have a telescope that's like sitting prominently in your your foyer or your dining room table, and somebody comes in and is like, oh, what's that? It's like, oh, it's just my telescope. You want that, right? There is prestige to knowing the night sky. So before I even tell you where the 100 things are, my other piece of advice that I've learned from doing this is whatever you point at and tell what it is, say it with confidence. Might be wrong. They won't tell. They won't know. It's good. So just try that. Try to say it with confidence. So that's the first thing. But we'll find the actual stuff that we want to show you up in the night sky. And we've had some amazing astronomical events that have been happening recently. We had the total solar eclipse that came through northern part of Columbus. How many people saw that last April? Wasn't that impressive? That's one of the things to see out of the 100. So there, you already did that one. That's one down. Then last year we had this happen twice, at least in the Cincinnati area. I don't know if it happened in Columbus, but I would assume because you're farther north. This was the northern lights were visible in May and October last year, where the sky turns that eerie kind of reddish color and glows from these big solar storms that hit the earth and make these dancing lights. Now, it's usually only visible in the northern latitudes, Canada, Alaska, that type of thing, but they are occasionally visible in Ohio. And so we had this happen 2 times last year. But we want to get to the things that you don't have to travel very far or wait 100 years for. So we're going to talk a little bit about the moon, some planets, how you can find your direction, what's going on in the northern sky, and some summer stars and summer constellations. And we'll even kind of dabble into fall, since we're almost in fall right now too. So we'll kind of move on into that. Now, one of the big things that I got really good advice when I first started doing this was, constellations, these are the star pictures that you have to imagine. You connect the dots on the stars and make pictures. They kind of stink, don't they? They don't look like anything they're supposed to, right? They're like, hey, look, there's a big lion up in the sky. You're like, yeah, really? And I'm here to tell you what no other astronomers say. I agree. They don't look like anything. All the astronomers are like, oh yeah, I could see that lion. I can't see that lion. You can't see that lion. This is stuff people invented thousands of years ago. They're sitting around their campfire. They're watching the sky like we watch TV. And one guy's like, hey, that looks like a lion. They're like, all right, I guess so. And they're like, if he gets enough people to go along with it, then they're like, yeah, it's a lion. That's how it worked. But we can't see the constellations the way the people did back then. And the reason why that is, they were really, really bored. They had nothing else to do. That was their TV. They're like, yeah, there's a lion. Look, it's chasing after a guy. And they'd make up the whole story because that was all they had for entertainment. So we can't see pictures. So what can we see is identifiable shapes. Are you ready for number 1? Okay. Oh, I put the label on it. Shoot. What's that shape? It's a triangle. So far, are you with me okay? And it starts to come up in the summertime. What should we call it? Very good. Excellent. Excellent. We call it the summer triangle. That's it. Good? It's not a very creative name, is it? And it's not an official name either, but it is very noticeable. And this is very high up in the sky as it gets dark, and really noticeable even if you're in a light polluted and urban environment of Columbus or any city. Now, the top of the triangle is a star called Vega. The one on the left is called Deneb, and the one on the right is called Altair. And so, oh yeah, here's where we're getting serious. Now you have to memorize stuff. And there will be a test at the end. Oh, good. You're okay. Great. I thought I was going to get some pushback of that. That's good. So we got Vega, Deneb, and Altair, and each one of these stars is part of a constellation of their own. So we'll visit those on our little trip. But this is the kind of thing is you want to look for shapes that make sense to you. So that's a triangle. Great. What about that? It's a dipper. Which dipper? Okay. Depends on where you are. Yeah. So when in doubt, it's the Big Dipper. Because the Big Dipper is the brighter of the two, the bigger of the two, and if you can only see one dipper, it's that one. The Little Dipper is so faint you won't be able to see it. So when in doubt, Big Dipper. So what's a Big Dipper? Well, you connect the dots on those 7 stars, and your imagination says, bingo, it's a big spoon. Huh. You see that? Seems good? Okay. But does anybody see something different? Or has anybody traveled to other countries where they might say something's different? What do you think it is?
They call it different things, but isn't that a Ursa Major? Should be a bear.
Well, don't give that away yet. I was going to let people struggle for a while first. We'll get to that in a second. Do you know some other? The plow, that is correct. Oh, I got that coming up here. Well, there's other fishing cultures called a fish hook. There's your plow from the British Isles. In Germany, they call it the große Wagen, the great wagon. But it's also in Native American circles, it's called the thigh of an ox. There's the spoon, there's the handle. In medieval Europe, it was a stretcher or a cart, usually for dead bodies. So if you think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, or they're bringing out the dead and they put them all in the dead body cart, and the one guy's not dead yet, that's what they would have thought that's what it was. The drinking gourd is also from around this part of the country too. It was called that. But I mean, you can modernize it. Steam shovel, wagon, lawnmower, shopping cart, question mark. They all look like the Big Dipper. You could call it whatever you want. I'd like to point this out because of the shopping cart picture. This was my first PowerPoint I ever made when I was working at the observatory. This goes back to 2000, and I wanted to get a shopping cart picture, and so this was before Google Images. There was only just Google, so I had to type in shopping cart picture. This is so old. That was the only picture of a shopping cart on the internet anywhere. It's in a jacuzzi. I don't know why it didn't say that on the website, but this was the only shopping cart picture on the whole internet. That's how old this is. Okay. Now, but none of these were the official names. None of them. The official name was Ursa Major, and what's an Ursa Major is a big bear. And so this is where we're like, oh, come on. Because the ancient Greeks came up with this. They called it a big bear going back about 2,500 years or so. And they said, well, okay, so there's the Big Dipper. It's the rear end and tail of the bear. Other stars make the feet and the head and all that kind of stuff. So, ancient Greeks, awesome astronomers, terrible zoologists. Do bears have long tails? No. Do they explain where the tail came from? No. So they're like, the big bear. Everybody's like, trust me, it's a bear. They're like, okay, sure. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why we see a dipper, because that makes more sense to us. And so there's the Big Bear. Now, we're going to go to the sky here. I'm going to use a program that can simulate the night sky. And this is one that's called Stellarium, or this one called Starry Night, I'm sorry. But there's one called Stellarium that's free that you could download. It does the same thing. I like this one because of the graphics are so retro. Look at that tree. That's so cool. That looks really realistic, right? So we're in Columbus. It's right now at about 3:25. I'm going to make it nighttime. So we're going to go over here by the W, where the west is. And we'll make the sun go down in the west. There we go. And as it gets darker, let's see what pops out here into view. So we got two little things down here. We'll come back to that in a second. But they're going to go down by the time it gets dark. Let's get a little darker, make it about 9:15 or so. And so the first thing we want to look for is straight overhead is a big triangle. There we go. Did I get you dizzy with that one? Whoa, yeah. Straight overhead. There's our summer triangle right there. And their stars' names were? Vega. Oh, good. Deneb and Altair. Holy smokes, you guys are good students. So Vega, Deneb, and Altair, that makes up the the summer triangle. Now, each one is part of its own constellation. So Vega is part of a constellation that looks like a harp. You see that? And Altair is part of one that looks like an eagle. And this one looks like a swan. Okay, that's not so bad. Let's put the stick figure in there. So the swan isn't atrocious. But it's mostly nicknamed the Northern Cross because you see this kind of cross shape here. But I can picture this as being the swan's tail. Picture a little belly right in here and a long neck and beak up here and wings right there. So what do you say? That one's not too bad, right? That one's Cygnus the swan. And so that one's one that's pretty easy to identify at this time of year because it's so high up in the sky, you can really see that kind of cross shape with it. And we already talked about Deneb. And what's interesting about these three stars here are they're all different distances from us. So Altair is the closest of the three stars. It's about 17 light years away. And so a light year is how far how light travels in a year. It's a distance. So 1 light year is about 6 trillion miles. So this is about 100 trillion miles away from us. Think about that light coming 100 trillion miles to your eyes. Vega is about 25 light years away. So that's about 150 trillion miles. Deneb's distance is really unknown. Estimates vary between 1,600 and 3,300 light years away. So if it was this distance, 3,200 light years away, that means that star's light left it 3,200 years ago. And you're seeing in the past, you're seeing that star's light from 3,200 years ago. That's a far away, big, honkin' star. You know, I always said honkin' with this, and I never even realized the pun. It's a swan. Why? I just got that. I said that joke for years, and I just now got it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'm going to use that more often. But anyway, so Deneb is one of the biggest stars in our galaxy, but it's so far away that it still just looks like one of the ordinary stars. But the other one that I want to point out is the star that's on the head of the swan. This is a star called Albireo, and it's not as bright and not as far away, but Albireo is this neat star because if you have a telescope like the one from the library, you can zoom in on this star and you'll find out it's really a double star. 2 stars that are going around each other. And they have this very interesting color combination. The bigger one is orangish in color, and the smaller one is bluish in color. And so you get these great contrasts when you see the colors of the stars. And you can make that out with the telescope. In fact, almost all the stars up there have different colors. They're not just white. You have red, orange, yellow, and blue, and even purple colors to them. And with a little bit of magnification, you can really see these. And so if you do get a telescope, even aiming at just ordinary one star up there in the sky, you might find some new extra stuff that's around it. But Albireo is one of my favorite double stars. And so if you lived on a planet there, you'd have two suns in your sky. An orange one and a blue one. That'd be pretty wild. Okay, so we got Cygnus the Swan. We got a couple stars in here. Let's now find that Dipper. Should be over this direction somewhere. Aha. You got it? There we are. So there's the spoon, there's the handle, Big Dipper, nice and easy. So let me put some lines in here to help us out just a bit. Put these lines in. There we go. So there's our Big Dipper. And then here's the bear in case you want to see it. Oh, that's just the outline. There's the picture. Yeah, sure. Now, of course, if there's an Ursa Major, there's going to be an Ursa Minor, right? There's our Ursa Minor, or the little bear. You want to see a picture of that? You're not going to like it. There we go. Yep. Makes a lot of sense. Now, like I said, the Big Dipper is so much easier to see than the Little Dipper. It's so much brighter, so much bigger. So usually if you're in a city, you can maybe make out the little bear's tail and then a few stars in the body, but the rest of these are usually too faint to identify in the city. But this star here on the end of the tail is the most important star and most famous of all the stars. That's the North Star, also known as Polaris. And so it's really hard to identify Polaris because, it doesn't really stand out very much at all. If you didn't have lines up here, you'd be lost to finding it. And so, well, it's not the brightest star. So how do you find it? Are there any former scouts in the audience that earned a badge to tell me how to find the North Star? Do you remember? How do you do it?
The last two stars of the Big Dipper go directly to it.
Wow, that's good. Did you get a badge for that, right? I hope so. I hope so. You go to the last two stars on the Big Dipper. These two stars, have some names. Are you ready? Their names are Merak, M-E-R-A-K, and Dubhe, D-U-B-H-E. So Merak and Dubhe will point you right to Polaris, just like that. All right, everybody got that? Dubhe and who? Merak, okay, good. I know some of you will remember one of those. That's all. I'm just making sure you remember the other one. So Merak and Dubhe will point you to Polaris. And Polaris is the end of the little bear's tail. There we go. Now the next constellation, if you keep going from Merak and Dubhe through Polaris, it'll take you over here to this constellation. Looks like the letter W. And this one, if you thought the bears were bad, this one is the most frustrating and worst to imagine. So you see that W, right? Maybe like a bird flying, a mountain range. Nope. It's a beautiful queen of Ethiopia sitting on her throne. You got it? I know it's obvious, right? I mean, it's okay, I'll show you the picture. You're not going to like it. I don't even remember if she's upside down or what. Oh, there she is. Queen Cassiopeia. What were they thinking with this one? It's a W. I don't know. I don't get it. But so that's the thing, is you don't want to worry about pictures. You really just want to worry about shapes. And so W, Cassiopeia. That's all you can think of. But it is easy to find because it's up in the northern sky almost all the year round, and it's always on the opposite side of the sky from Merak and Dubhe. So you go Merak and Dubhe to Polaris, and then on to Cassiopeia right over there. There we go.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Where are you
Good question. So the question is, where am I looking? And I'm looking in the northern sky. Very good. Because, yeah, we're looking where the North Star is. So we're facing north, and the North Star is about halfway up in the sky.
So we're facing north.
Facing north, yep, right over there. And you'll see the Big Dipper on the left side, Cassiopeia on the right side, and the North Star in the middle. And that's how it works. Pardon? It's why it's called the North Star. That's right. It's always above a big floating N right there. So it all works out. And so, in fact, I didn't do this. I forgot to move our time forward. The reason why it's the North Star is because as the night goes on, the stars move like this. And that one star doesn't seem to move. It's like fixed in place where all the other stars make this counterclockwise circle. So we're watching daytime and nighttime go by. And so the ancients would have said, well, somebody just nailed the sky up there and they spin it once a day. But we know it's the Earth that's rotating. And as we're rotating, that North Star is right above our North Pole. So our North Pole is basically pointed right at it. And so we have this great landmark in our northern sky. There is no southern equivalent. So in the southern hemisphere, it's a lot more complicated. But this is what navigators would use. This is what any travelers would be using in the northern hemisphere to find their way around the sky. So the Big Dipper goes down, Cassiopeia goes up. Let's go back to now and go back to tonight. There we go. So, are you ready for the next one? Okay, we got, what were these two stars' names? Merak and Doobie, and they point you to? Polaris, very good. And we got to Cassiopeia. I didn't say this star. This star's name is Caph. It's C-A-P-H. And this goes back to some Arabic times where the Arabic astronomers looked at this and thought these were 5 fingers. Kind of a gnarly hand, in my opinion. I don't know if that's better than a queen or not, but still, anyway, Caph means hand. And so that's where that comes from. But then if we keep going along this line, Merak and Doobie, Polaris to Caph, and we keep going, we're going to come to a big square right here. In fact, I can put the square on here, I think, without revealing what it is. There it is, the big square. So look at these shapes. Big spoon, little spoon, W, square. All right, who's got the good imagination? What is that square in reality? Well, not in reality, I guess in mythology. Something that flies, that normally doesn't fly. Pegasus, very good. Pegasus, the flying horse. Let me outline it. It'll become not obvious at all. There's the body. There's the neck and mane and nose. Then it's got 2 front legs and no back legs. Yeah. You want to see the picture? You're not going to like it. There it is. I mean, it's upside down too. I mean, you'd think they could have come up with something better than that. But that's what they got. So that's why I look for a big square instead of a flying horse upside down. But you could get to it the same way, starting with the Big Dipper again. Big Dipper, Little Dipper, Cassiopeia, and it seems curved up here, but in the real sky, it's almost a straight line. And each hop from one star to the other is about the same distance. Hop, 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 and then you're there. Now, Pegasus doesn't have any back legs because of what is hanging off of Pegasus as part of the story that goes with Cassiopeia. It's Cassiopeia's daughter, Andromeda. She's shaped like a long, skinny A. So instead of giving the horses back legs, they put Andromeda in possibly the worst place they could put her, up there. So they got a little spot filled in for her. So that's the thing is, let's just go with shapes again. Let's get the pictures out of here. There we go. So Andromeda is this long, skinny A shape that's hanging off of Pegasus right here. Essentially, that's how I find it. But one of the cool things that's being exaggerated that you're seeing by that label is this. And this is one of the coolest things in the night sky. This is the Andromeda Galaxy. Now this is highly exaggerated, and this is what it looks like with a long exposure photograph. It doesn't look like that through any telescope. The camera can pick it up like this. But the Andromeda Galaxy is our nearby major galaxy. Like the Milky Way is what we're in. This is another galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars in it. And it's so bright that you can just barely make it out with the naked eye if you're in a dark sky, like the Grand Canyon or places out west. In the city, you need binoculars to be able to see it, but that telescope on that desk would do a really good job of looking at that galaxy. It doesn't look anything like that in the telescope. It looks like, well, there's a couple little satellite galaxies that are around it. What the Andromeda Galaxy looks like in a telescope is kind of like this right there. On a good day, it looks like that in a telescope. And galaxies are always hard to be able to image with a telescope, but this one you should be able to find. It looks like a gray smudge, and it's not impressive, but when you think about what it is, the light that you're seeing hundreds of billions of stars coming to you that are so far away that even in a telescope, it looks like a little fuzzball. I know. I show this to people, and you know what they usually say? They're like, "Oh, that's it?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. But it's hundreds of billions of stars." They're like, "Yeah, okay." So as long as you go into it expecting not much. I wonder if there was did you guys keep the box for the telescopes? Sometimes the telescope manufacturers put pictures of the Andromeda Galaxy on your box with the false claim that you're going to see that. So, good. Anyway, that's not on there, so that's good. Yeah. But it is still kind of fun to find this galaxy because it doesn't take much magnification to be able to see it. It's just kind of faint, that's all there is to it. Okay, so we've got these things over here. Now where we're facing, this is in the eastern sky. And so these are actually some of the fall constellations that are coming around that you're going to be getting these previews. So these constellations you're going to be seeing more of as the season goes on. As we get into fall, you're going to see Pegasus and Andromeda a lot more. The ones that are going away are over here in the western sky. We'll go over to the western sky. These are the ones that are getting lower in the sky. And what we have over here is a constellation that looks like a kite, ice cream cone. Anything else? Upside down tie. Let me get these lines out of here. And let's put the actual lines. There he is. Oh, there's the necktie, so it's upside down, very wide tie. A whale with a very teeny tiny tail. Anybody see something different? Any other imaginative people here? A horse's nose. Ah, I never thought of that. Well, you want to know what it really is? I always say what it really is. I mean, what they said it was. Because all these stories go back to ancient Greece. And so this one is Boötes is his name. And he is, of course, the guy chasing the bear. Nobody saw that, did they? Not one of you saw a person in that, right? And he's chasing after the bear. Yep, because there's the bear. Perfect. He's probably saying, boy, I'm going to chase after this bear with a long tail that I've never seen before. That's probably what he's thinking. But that's the shape, is this kind of cone shape. His name is Boötes also, which is always fun whenever I go to a school group and they see this on the screen and they want to pronounce it much differently than I pronounce it. That's for sure. But it is pronounced Boötes is the correct pronunciation. Now, the only really bright star in Boötes is the one down here. It's just called Arcturus. And Arcturus is one that you probably have seen if you're driving home right after sunset, because it's right there in the western sky and very orangish in color. And so Arcturus is one of the brightest stars in the sky and easy to identify because all you got to do is find the Big Dipper's handle. Instead of using the spoon, you use the handle of the Big Dipper, and you follow the arc shape of the handle to Arcturus. And so that's how the saying goes, follow the arc to Arcturus. Pretty catchy, right? Not too bad. So I'm going to just put the shape up, not the picture. Okay. Now, there's two more up in this area that are pretty bad to imagine. This one right here is this little half circle of stars. This is called Corona Borealis. This is the northern crown, so you can kind of picture that as like maybe like a wreath around somebody's head. So that's Corona Borealis. And then up above it is this four-sided figure called the keystone, and it's the keystone of Hercules. The famous strongman, there he is. Uh-huh. Oh, let's see the pictures. Yep, guy chasing a bear, a crown, and a guy wearing a lion skin with a club in his hand. He's holding some flowers out to the side, and he's kneeling. He's upside down too. So, yeah. What do you think? He's a contortionist, that's right. To me, I find this terrible. That is not correct whatsoever. I'm going to take even the labels off of this because, so when I was learning all these constellations for the first time, I'm trying to think like, how am I going to remember all this stuff? How am I going to picture this? And I'm like, okay, well, that looks like an ice cream cone to me. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to look for the ice cream cone, and that's Boötes. But then I thought, well, how am I going to tie it into some other things? And so I made up my own mythology. Now, this is very, very childish, I will say. Is it okay if I tell this story? Because this is the thing, is like I want to make up ways that you'll help you remember things. Like, because if I show you those pictures, I won't remember those things. That definitely doesn't look like a guy on his knees, holding out the flowers. So this is the story. So how should I start the story? Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a guy named Dean. That was me. I was in 3rd grade, and I got my report card back. Straight A's. My mom and dad are out here in the audience, too. They can confirm this. I got straight A's in 3rd grade. And so, as a good Columbusite, growing up in the 80s, you get good grades, where do you go? Baskin-Robbins was the right answer. That's a good answer too, but Baskin-Robbins was the right answer. Especially, and he was my neighbor, so he would know, because he probably went to ice cream with me on that time too. You probably got extra ice cream just by knowing me. It was probably Baskin-Robbins, where you go. And so they said, Dean, for getting straight A's, you can have 2 scoops. I was like, whew, it's the first time getting 2 scoops. So get the first scoop, chocolate. Second scoop, chocolate, double chocolate on that, of course. And so we're exiting out here. I'm living life. This is great. I'm going to get straight A's forever. I'm going to go on to become a doctor, a lawyer, something like that, right? That's what I was going to be? No, anyway, not an astronomer. And so I'm going out, and the door hits my elbow on the way out. And the second scoop falls onto the Baskin-Robbins parking lot. And this is the scene of that moment. We have the ice cream cone with the single scoop, the second scoop on the ground, and me, no, saying like that on the ground. Now, isn't that now you see that, right? That's way better than those other 3, right? All right. I don't think that's a completely true story, Mom and Dad. I would never drop an ice cream. That never happened. But anyway, so that's the way I kind of see it. Instead of a guy chasing a bear, a crown, and a strong man up there. But there's one other really neat thing that you can find with the library telescope, though, in Hercules. This is his torso, this keystone shape. There's a little, I shouldn't say little, it's a big star cluster that's right there. You can not quite see it with the naked eye, but through the telescope, you'll be able to zoom in on this. This is called a globular star cluster, and it's the Hercules star cluster called M13. And this looks dynamite in a telescope. It actually looks like that in the telescope. Okay, maybe not quite that good, but pretty close. But pretty close to that good. You can see the smattering of stars. It looks like somebody like powdered sugar or or fireflies, and you're looking at hundreds of thousands of stars all in one place. So that's called M13, or the Hercules star cluster. Another really cool thing that you can find with the telescope. Okay, so we looked at the east, we looked at the west, we looked at the north. Now we just have the south to go. And the south is pretty easy because there's really only one thing to look at. Well, maybe two. That and that. I don't like those shapes. Let's go with the more realistic shapes. There we go. We got a fish hook, and we got teapot. What do you think? Yeah. That's not what they say they are, of course. Oh, yeah. A centaur shooting a bow and arrow at a scorpion. Sure. I like that a lot better, don't you? Teapot and a fish hook there. But that's where Scorpius the scorpion is. And that one's not too bad as things go. You got the pinchers there. You got the curved tail and stinger. Now, it's very low in the sky at this time of year, so it is kind of hard to find. And so you might have trees blocking your view. But if you are a Scorpio, that's your constellation. And if you are a Sagittarius, that's your constellation right behind it there, too. So you can find those there in the southern sky very low as we go. Okay, so we covered quite a bit of ground here. We got the north, south, east, and west. What didn't I talk about? We got east. That's where the Pegasus is. But what objects didn't I talk about? Planets. There are no planets up in the evening sky right now, except for Mars is almost gone. Mars is pretty much gone right after sunset. They're all in the morning sky. So that means you got to get up early. And so maybe you heard earlier, like last month, they had the planet parade that was making kind of the rounds where they had all the planets lined up. The planet parade is kind of broken up a little bit, but we still do have a little bit of the parade happening, especially with the brightest of the bright stars. And now that it's staying darker longer. What time is sunrise? 6 o'clock? Yeah, about 6 o'clock. So here we are at 6 o'clock, facing east. And that is suspiciously bright. That dot right there. That is the brightest star-like object in the sky, and that is Venus right there. So you can see Venus so easily right before sunrise. So if you get up early to go to work, go to school, let the dog out, you probably will notice Venus there, looking like a UFO or alien spacecraft coming at you. When I see Venus, even I forget it's Venus. If I'm driving and Venus is in the sky, I think, what is that thing following me? Because it's that suspiciously bright. So Venus will be hanging around the morning sky. Up higher, about half as bright, is Jupiter right there. So Jupiter is by far stands out more than any of the other stars. Only Venus is brighter than it. So those are really the two stars you can see in the morning. And you got this guy over here wearing a belt in the morning sky. This is Orion's belt, the 3 stars in a row. There's Orion's legs, his shoulders, upper body and little bitty head. It's definitely better than some, but there's Orion. So you can see him in the morning sky. But he's known as a winter constellation, so you can see him in the evenings in January, February, that kind of thing. But right now, he's up in the morning sky. All right, so there's one other planet, though, that is coming around fast. I'm going to go back to now, and then I'm going to go to about 10 o'clock at night. Might have to go later. No, there it is. Okay. So Mars is pretty much lost in the sunset. Venus and Jupiter in the morning sky. That leaves one other thing. Oh, I don't think that's it. Hold on. No, that wasn't it. I knew it was later than that. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, there it. No, that's not it either. Hold on. Now I'm baffled. Yeah, it'd be a piece of cake. It'll be easy for you. I was too far north. Okay, there it is. This unassuming dot. Wait a second. What's that one? Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah. Okay. When stuff isn't labeled, and I want to do a reveal here, this unassuming dot that rises a little bit after 9:30, we zoom in on it. It's not a star at all. It is maybe the coolest planet. Saturn to see. And so Saturn is coming around the bend. It's almost visible right after sunset, but right now it's about 9:30 where it gets higher. As the days go on, it'll rise earlier and earlier. Now, it is the faintest of the 4 planets that I showed you, but it doesn't stand out as much. But when you can aim a telescope at it, then you can see the rings. And it'll be really small in the library telescope, but you'll be able to see it looks like a ball with a stick through it. That's what it looks like. So it's almost Saturn season. It'll be coming around pretty soon. All right. Well, we didn't quite cover 100 things to see in the night sky, but we covered quite a bit. And do you really want to test? No. That's because I was going to suggest I could point at things, and you could all take the test at one time, and you could yell out all the wrong answers you want. And if somebody gets the right answer, then we count it. Should we try it? Because it'll make me feel better. It'll make me feel like I taught something. That's all. That's what. Okay, let's try it. Oh wait, what was this thing? Saturn, good, all right, number 1, done. That's so far so good. Okay, let's go over to, what was the fish hook looking thing? Scorpion. What was the thing that was to the left of it? Sagittarius, very good. Let's see, straight overhead. What triangle? Summer triangle, very good. What was the one that looked like a cross? Cygnus the swan, very good. Do you remember the star names? See, this is how we do the test. Vega, Deneb, and Altair. Bonus. Do you remember the double star at the head of the swan? I barely mentioned it. So I'll let you slide on that one. Alberio, I barely mentioned, but yeah, that was the double star, the orange and blue star. Okay, let's go over here to northwest. What do we got there? Big Dipper, very good. That one. Little Dipper there, the star. Polaris, that one. Doobie, very good. The other one. Merak, very good. Takes you over to. Wow, you got the star. You're the prize. I'm glad you're in the front. Calf and the constellation. Cassiopeia. You all can answer too, if you. And then the big square. Pegasus, very good. And who's hanging off of Pegasus? And with the big galaxy there, that's pretty good. So I think you did. Oh, right. Almost forgot. Got to go to Baskin Robbins. Who's the ice cream cone? Bo-O-Tees. Very good. And the star, you called it, the star is? Arcturus. Very good. All right, I think that'll do it. I think that's pretty good. That was a pretty good number of stars. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was pretty good. Because now all we got to do, next clear night, we all got to get together, and then she'll teach us everything that you need to know. It's perfect. If we combine all of our knowledge, we got something. That's pretty good. Well, let's see. Anybody have any questions or requests? Because, yeah, go ahead. How we do? Oh, yeah, you need to.
No, we're good on time. If you want to repeat the question.
I'll repeat the question. That sounds good, yeah.
I'm just wondering, when you were the resident astronomer at the Grand Canyon, what was the most interesting question you got out?
Ooh, when I was a resident astronomer at the Grand Canyon, what was the most interesting question I got there? That's a tough one. I think the main one was when I went down to the bottom. So I went down to the bottom where the river is at Phantom Ranch and got to stay down there for a week. The big thing was how did they get a telescope down there? So I got there. There was a pretty good sized telescope there, which was great because I thought I'd have to carry it. So that was much better. And the question was, how did we get the telescope down there? And that one was helicoptered in. So they helicoptered in and dropped off the telescope probably when they rescued somebody and took them back out. So they swapped a telescope for somebody being evacuated. Yeah. So that was just an amazing experience being down there. That was really cool. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
So when you hovered over the stars, I saw LY for light year, but then on one of the planets I saw AU.
Ooh, okay. Question is, so when you hover over the stars, it tells you LY, that's light years away, so that's at the bottom. Distance is 36.71 light years to Arcturus. And if we go to a planet, let's see, if I go back in time, we can see Mars just barely before it sets. That one's Mars, I think, right there. It has distance 2.309 AU, and so an AU is an astronomical unit. 1 AU is the distance from the Earth to the sun. So in miles, that's only 93 million miles versus a light year, which is 6 trillion miles. So planets, so Mars is about, that's pretty far away from us right now. That's about 200 million miles away. For Mars, that's far. But then the star that's below it is, I have to do quick math, 1.3 quadrillion miles away. So yeah, they look like they're right next to each other, but they are not. All right, let's see. Back there, yes. Go ahead. Why do we see the moon during the daytime? Yes, you've been seeing the moon during the daytime the last couple days, haven't you? That's the other thing. I didn't even show you the moon, did I?
We saw it.
On the screen? During the daytime? Probably. Or morning, in the morning. Morning sky, that's right. So let's see, let's make it a little darker. So right now the moon, you probably saw a full moon a couple days ago. And so the moon is waning right now, which means there it is. So the deal with the moon is that it changes its phase every day, but it also changes when it rises. So it rises about 50 minutes later every day. So when you see it at sunset, it's always a full moon rising when the sun sets. And then after that, it rises later and later and later. And so right now it's rising, tonight it'll rise at almost midnight. But that means it's up all night and then even part of the day too. Because it's almost up in the sky about 12 hours a day also. So you're going to see moons like this with the left side lit up. That's your waning moon. You're going to see that during the daytime. So you'll be seeing that. I saw the weather forecast. I don't think we're going to have rain for a while, are we? So I think you're going to see that every morning for the next five days probably. But then when it switches, like by maybe the 20th or probably about the 21st. There we go. Oh, there's the 25th. When it's a crescent and when the right half is lit up, the right side of the moon's lit up, you see that one in the evening at nighttime. So you'll see, I have a saying for this too. Have you guys learned enough already or you want one more? Okay. When the light's on the right, you see it at night. When the light's on the left, I got nothing. Nothing rhymes with that. So just remember, light on the right, you see it at night. The opposite's the other way. So when it's on the left, then you see it in the daytime, in the morning usually, or late at like after midnight kind of thing.
Is it that bright that it can outshine the sun?
No, it can't outshine the sun, but it's up there. It's on nights, it's on daytimes where usually the sun's low in the sky. So in the morning, you'll see it, and the sky is a little darker blue on the opposite side. So you can just make it through the daylight a little bit. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yes, go ahead.
When I got my Boy Scout astronomy merit badge many moons ago, there was an attempt that it just, I think recently come out, attempt by the fellow who wrote the books about Curious George to try to make the constellations, as you saw drawing the lines in your head, actually look more like the characters that they are. So that, for example, the Big Dipper, he figured out a way to connect the stars so that that was not the bear's tail, it was the bear's nose. And so it looked more like a bear. And there were other, I mean, Cassiopeia was so much.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And we see, and a couple of people picked it up. I have a reference book, which I at my school, I co-teach science over there. And I have a reference book that uses some of those drawings. You work with a lot of people like us. Does something like that help or hinder understanding of how these constellations, especially for people like me? Unlike me, I studied the classics, so I know some of these three characters are.
Yeah.
Others don't. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for folks at home too, the question is about, the constellations. There was the author that did Curious George, his name is H.A. Rey, did his own constellations. That is absolutely true. And if that book just came out when you were a scout, I'm not going to even say how old you are, but I think I'm hoping it was out for a while before you saw that. It did get a first edition, but still, it goes back a ways. Curious George and H.A. Rey made his own constellations, and this program does have the H.A. Rey constellation outlines as a option. They don't do the pictures, but they have the constellations, H. Rey's right there, R-E-Y. And so, some of them are the same. There's the Scorpion, slightly different. There's Sagittarius, much better, I would say. I don't know what that is. There's the Swan. Not too bad. That looks the same. Little Dipper. So, I don't know how this is. Is that his mouth or is that his nose? Oh, I got it. So think of maybe like an Arctic, like polar bear, kind of like those figurines that they make of the polar bears. So there's the nose and then the body back there. It's pretty good.
I always wondered if he was connecting stars that were so faint the average person couldn't see them to draw. For example, there's your herdsman there.
There's Hercules, slightly better. That's for sure. Now, the one that I always like that Rey did was Gemini. Gemini is the best of the best that he did because it's so much better than all the others. So there's Gemini as he pictured. These are the twins. There is one head, there's the body and the feet and everything like that. Arms connected like that. That's how he did it. This is how the classic one is done. And it's just terrible. It's like a tree stump or something. I don't know what this is supposed to be. And so his was way better. So yeah, I it's hard to improve too much. That was the one I think he got the best, but yeah, to me, that was still the advice that was given to me, was just like, go for shapes that make sense to you. Don't go with try to see pictures. The pictures are just, you're not going to do it. It's just not going to work. So, well, what we'll do is I'll hang around if you have some more questions, if you'd like to learn some more about this stuff. And also, we'll pull up I'll just pull it up here. This is my website, astrodean.com. If you want to follow along with other stuff that I'm doing there, I got all my social media posts there. And I also have online classes that you can take. So you can tune in on these, and usually I have some special guests, so you can check that out as well. And then feel free to stop up at the table here if you want to check out the books and check out the telescopes as well. So big thing, did you all learn something? Did you have fun?
Yes.
That's all I can hope for. So, well, thanks for having me here today. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Dean Regas. Thank you so much.